Om 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 Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Sam Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Gum Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. This 35th episode of Vedanta Shravana Sadhana Yagna, we are looking into Vivekachoodamani, verses 298 to 309. Everything is a condemnation of the ego. The ego means the I thought. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the one who is looking at this world and interacting with this world, and I am only doing things. It's the ego. In what way is it a burden? The earlier verses that concluded recently spoke about removing the superimpositions on the I, the different identities and beliefs that are kept in the I. Swa-adhyasa, removing. Now here it is all about removing that I thought itself, that I am the body, I am the mind, which is the cause for all problems. Santyanye pratibandha pumsaha samsara hetavo drishtaha teshamekam moolam prathama vikaro bhavatyahamkaraha santi anye pratibandha pumsaha. There may be other obstacles for realization of truth, which are the cause for samsara, or this moving into this wheel of birth and death. Samsara hetavo drishtaha. It has been seen, tesham, for all those different causes that we may have, that cause rebirth, birth and death, tesham ekam moolam prathama vikaraha. The first modification of the intellect, buddhi or steady thought, is ahankara, the I thought. First, there is the intellect or the steady thought. The next, its child is ahankara or the I thought. Tesham ekam moolam prathama vikaraha bhavati ahamkaraha. Ahamkara is called so because it creates the sense of I. It says by reminding us of the presence of I. If there's anything, any object, any situation, any person or people are around us, the ahamkara is very alive, because we say, I see the situation, I experience the situation, I see this person, I interact with this person, I see these objects. So who is saying this I for everything? The ahamkara. Yavat syat swasya sambandhoham ahamkarena duratmanam tavanna lesha matrapi mukti varta vilakshanam. As long as we are going to be connected with this ahamkara, sambandhaha ahamkarena duratmana. This ahamkara is a duratman, meaning it is causing all the disturbances in our life. It is causing all the problems in our life. As long as that connection is there with the I thought, tavanna lesha matrapi, even for a little bit. Lesha means very, very little. Mukti varta vilakshana. This thought about mukti, all talk about mukti is very, very far away as long as we are going to give importance to this ahamkara. Ahamkara grahan muktaham swarupam upapadyate chandravat vimalaf purnaham sadanandasvayam prabhaham. Ahamkara grahan muktaha. This once we are free of this ahankara graha. Graha means like a planet. This ahankara is holding on to us. Muktaha, if I am free of that ahankara, then swarupam upapadyate. My true form will be revealed to myself. How? Chandravad vimalav purnaha. Like the Rahu, we recently had the lunar eclipse. When the Rahu or Ketu, shadow planets means when the sun, moon and the earth are aligned, the shadow of the earth falls on the moon, and so we see an eclipse. And when the eclipse, it is called grahanam and moksha. Grahanam means catching, moksha means being relieved. In the same way, the ahamkara is eclipsing our true self. If the ahamkara, that means I am this body, I am this mind, I am this intellect, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. This I thought plus all this is not there, then Sadanandaha Swayam Prabhaha Vimalaha, very pure, the Atman shines in its purest state, Vimala, Sada Ananda, always blissful. People who have realized the self are always blissful for no reason. They don't need any cause to be happy. They are extremely blissful at all times. Swayam Prabhaha, the self is revealing by itself. Yova pure soham iti pratito buddhya prakliptas tamasati mudhayam tasyaiva nishesha taya vinashe brahmatma bhavaham pratibandha shunyaham yova pure saha ahamiti pratitaha. In this puri, in this body, yova, there is a person who says, saha, this body is I. This body only is I. Iti pratitaha buddhya prakripta tamasa ati mudhaya. It is produced by the intellect. Who gives birth to this ahamkara? We have nothing to do with it. We don't know anything about it. There is something called consciousness. In that consciousness, when it is experienced in the body, there is a manifestation of a thought. A steady thought is there. In that steady thought, consciousness is reflected. It is called buddhi. When the buddhi shines with the light of consciousness, there is some hazy light around that thought. That hazy light is called the reflection of consciousness, the mind. And around that mind, because of that haziness of the reflection of consciousness, a false entity called I is there around this buddhi. In between is the mind and the reflection of consciousness. That I is the product of the buddhi. And this I is tamas. It is completely because of the tamasic state of the buddhi. The intellect has got sattva guna, rajoguna, and tamoguna. The tamoguna state of the intellect produces this I thought. Tasya eva nisheshataya vinashe. If this I thought is first observed and removed, nisheshataya, completely. How can we remove it? We can remove it first by identifying it, by keeping constantly watching the eye, and when the eye is acting up, when the eye is showing up in its actions and words, controlling the eye from within, keep a constant monitoring, watching, sadhana, swadhyaya, seva, satsanga. The eye is first polished by all these means, scrubbed nicely, and finally torn to pieces and gone. Brahmatma bhavaha pratibandha shunyaha. When this I is no more, I am that Brahman. I thought, that I experience as Brahman has got no obstacles. When we are entering into a room, there is a lot of clutter, useless things around the place. Our thought process is attracted by this clutter. When we remove all that clutter, when everything which needs to be there is in its place, then we have nothing else to think about unnecessarily. We are able to concentrate on what we are, what we have come here to do, what is the work we need to do. We are very clear about it. If there is a lot of distraction, our mind is distracted. In the same way, this I thought is a big distraction because it is all the time acting up. I feel sad, I feel happy, I feel hungry, I feel thirsty, I feel dejected, I feel rejected. Then nobody is taking care of me, nobody likes me, I am depressed, I am oppressed, I am suppressed, I am suffering, I am excited, I am rich, I am poor. So many thoughts are coming up all the time because of the I. So that I thought has to be addressed first. Brahmatma bhavaha. When the I thought is addressed and removed, removing a thought is very simple. Focus the thought, identify the thought, be aware of the presence of the thought, constantly keep that thought in check by knowledge and by thinking again and again about this. And in spite of that, whenever it shows up, be aware, have compassion. It has been there for so many millions of lifetimes of ours. So have compassion on that. Be grateful for what it has done so far. Be thankful. Be appreciative to the I. When you appreciate the presence of the I, the very fact that we appreciate, we bestow it with a lot of attention and energy. And the I begins to dissolve very fast with appreciation, gratitude, and awareness. Brahmatma bhavaha pratibandha shunyaha. Brahmananda nidhir mahabalavata ahamkara ghorahina samveshtyatmani rakshyate gunamayai chandaistribhir mastakaihi vijnanakhya mahasina shrutimatam vichitya shirshatrayam निर्मूल्याकिमिमं निधिं सुखकरं धीरोऽनुभोक्तुं क्षमः ब्रह्म आनंद निधिः महाबलवता Ahankara Ghorahina Samveshtya Atmani Rakshyate. There is a big treasure within. That treasure is called Brahma Ananda, Supreme Ananda. Brahma means Brihat, very big, undisturbed bliss, undisturbed happiness, undisturbed joy is that Brahmananda. It is a treasure, and the treasure is being protected for its own interest, not for the sake of the treasure, not for the sake of anybody else, for its own interest. It is being protected by a snake. What is a snake? Ahamkara. The I thought is like a snake. Gora ahina. This I thought is a Gora ahi, a very deadly, poisonous snake. Samveshtya. The snake is surrounding the Atman, the self. Atmani rakshyate. Gunamayaihi chandaihi tribhirmastakaihi. Rakshyate. Gunamayaihi. This the snake has got three hoods. It's a three-hooded snake. And what are the three hoods made up of? Gunas. Sattva guna, Rajo guna, Tamo guna. Yes, you heard it right. It is Sattva guna also. We think Sattva guna is good, but as long as Sattva guna is there, the other two gunas are never far away. They are always together with Sattva guna. So we can never have only Sattva guna. It is Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Three-headed serpent that is guarding this treasure called I, Brahman. Vijnana Akhya Mahasina. Now, there is a big sword. What is that sword? That sword is knowledge. That is sword is Vijnana. Vijnana means I know. What is it I know? I am aware of the presence of I. Vijnana is actually something material. This consciousness is something very really present and material that we can experience within. When that light of consciousness happens, it is not common experience for everybody, but great Mahatmas who have realized experience that within themselves. Vijnana Akhya Maha Asina. With that great sword of Vijnana or knowledge, Shruti Mata, through the meaning for this process given by the Shrutis. Vichidya Shirshatrayam. You cut the three heads, the three-hooded snake, the Shirshatrayam. Nirmulya Ahim Imam Nidhim. You remove the snake. You don't empower the snake with its head. The snake without its head has got life only for a short period of time. It cannot grow its head after that. Nirmulya Ahim Imam Nidhim Sukhakaram. This Sukhakara Nidhi, Brahma Nidhi, gives me joy, gives me happiness to be in contact with that Brahman. Sukhakaram Dhiraha Anubhoktum Shamaha. This Dhiraha, this wise man, the very brave person who is wise, he is a Dhira, he is able to experience it all the time. Anubhokta means all the time enjoying it. Shamaha, he is capable of enjoying that. So cut off this serpent, three-hooded serpent called Ahamkara, which has got three heads called Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Yavadvayat kinchit vishadosha spurtirasti chedehe Katham arogyaya bhavet tatvat ahantapi yogino muktyayi. As long as yavadva yat kinchit Vishadoshaha spurtihi asti chet dehe. In this body, even a little bit of poison is there. Spurti means we experience a poison in the body. Katham arogyaya bhavet. How can we be healthy when there is poison? You can say nowadays we have all got accepted to it. We are having poison in so many ways in our blood, from the pesticides, fertilizers, fast foods, and the additives. You can say that, but we are not also experiencing good health at the same time. Katham arogyaya bhavet tadvat. In the same way, ahanta api yoginaha mukyai. This I is also a poison in the spiritual realm of understanding who am I, the true I, this ahankara or this I thought that is attached as the I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, is a poison that can annihilate our spiritual progress towards freedom. अहमोत्यंत निवृत्त्यां तत्कृतनाना विकल्प संवृत्त्यां प्रत्यक्तत्व विवेकादि इदम् अहमस्मीति विन्दते तत्वम्. When this ego sense or I thought or I feeling, more than a thought, it is a feeling. It is an ignorant feeling that we have because of the presence of that thought. Whenever there is a thought, we get a feeling related to that thought. When there is a thought of love, we get a feeling, we experience a feeling of love. When there is a thought of anger, we experience a feeling of anger. In the case of love and anger, the feeling is more predominant. We don't realize the presence of the thought. But as far as this I is concerned, also, like anger, hatred, jealousy, the feeling of I we are used to. So we don't really look out for the thought of I. Ahamaha atyanta nivritya. When this I thought has completely gone, tatkrita nana vikalpa samvritya. All the different thoughts that are all caused by the I. The I thought creates every other thought. All the vikalpas means all the different thoughts, the useless thoughts, the entertaining thoughts, the sad thoughts, the happy thoughts, the doership thought, the enjoyership thought, the people thought, the world thoughts, the knowledge thoughts, the actions thoughts, the feelings thoughts, everything thoughts created by this I. Pratyak tattva vivekadi idam aham asmi iti vindate tattvam. Pratyak tattva viveka. There is a true I within, that is within me. That pratyak tattva, that essence, vivekadi idam aham asmiti. To achieve that essence, to arrive at that essence, I use viveka. Viveka means a sense of distinguishing between who am I in reality and what is not I. Viveka vindate tattva. The process for attaining that supreme truth within is through viveka, or constant differentiation between who am I in reality and what all is not I. Everything else that we can say, see, hear, taste, smell, touch, think, feel, do, manipulate, all actions, everything that we experience through these means are not I. Whoever is observing is the I. Ahamkare kartavyam kartaryahamiti matim muncha sahasam vikaran manyatma pratiphala jushi swasthiti mushi yadadhyasat prapta Janimrati jara dukha bahulam pratichin murtehe tava sukha tanoho samsrutir ayam iyam ahamkare kartari ahamiti matim muncha sahasa. Ahamkare, in this ahamkara or the I thought, give up the bhava or the feeling that I am the doer. Simple as that. We can say the intellect, the buddhi with three gunas is a doer, or Bhagavan is a doer, or it has happened because of everybody else, not me, but all of them, and I also belong to that everybody. Muncha sahasa. Vikarat, vikaratmani, atma, pratiphala jushi, swasthiti, mushi. Vikara, atmani, atma, pratiphala jushi. This nature of the ahankara is modification, and this ahankara is experienced because of the reflection of consciousness. Reflection of the consciousness, the light of that consciousness, this ahankara is visible. This ahankara, yad adhyasat prapta janimriti jara dukkha bahula. Because of this adhyasa, the superimposition of I, everything is got to us. Jani means birth, mriti means death. Jara means old age, dukkha means sorrow. We get all this because of this ahamkara, the I thought. Pratichis chinmurtehe tava sukhatanoho samsrutihi yam. In this chinmurti, in this consciousness, everything is reflected, and because of the reflection, and because of all the different thoughts that are reflected, different emotions that are reflected, and the identification with all this, the ahamkara has to take other births. Gurudev says, the ego is a consciousness reflected in the thoughts. So what is ahankara? In my thought, in my mind there is a thought. That thought is visible to me if I close my eyes and I observe the thought. I am able to observe the thought because of consciousness. And that observed, that light of consciousness on the thought is ahamkara. When thoughts are not there, ahankara is also not there. When nobody is there, we have nothing to identify it. When somebody is there, we identify with them, and then the ego starts its trip. So ideally, we cannot stay alone for that. We have to be aware of this ego. We have to be aware of that I which identifies with everything, and that is the cause for all trouble. That is the cause for all problems. Sadaika rupasya chidatmano vibhoho anandamurtehe anavadya kirtehe naivanyathakhya kvapya vikarinaste vinahamadhyasam amushya samsrutihi. There is no modification and change except the fact that I am identified with this ego. If I don't identify with this ego, I am blissful. I am the Brahman at all times. There is neither birth and death for me henceforth. In future, meaning after the death of this body, there is no rebirth. Sadaika rupasya chidatmanaha vibhoho. For the ekarupa chitatmanaha, for that consciousness which is reflected within vibhoho anandamurtehe anavadya kirtehe. Anandamurti, this consciousness, what is the form of this consciousness? Bliss. Anavadya, it is immaculate, its fame is immaculate. Kirtehe, Naiva Anyata Kwapi Avikari Naste. This consciousness doesn't change at all. There's nothing to modify this consciousness, change it, make it miserable from its condition, nothing. Vina aham adhyasam amushya samsrutihi. Without except the superimposition of this I thought, there is nothing that can change consciousness. The first superimposition on consciousness is the I thought. When the I thought has gone, consciousness remains as it is. In sleep also it is there, but it is due to unawareness of the presence of the I thought. In sleep, we are not aware of the I. And so we are experiencing happiness and joy in sleep. But we cannot be sleeping all the time for that sake. It is not going to help us. In the waking state, in the sleep state, we are experiencing happiness. So leave that alone. In the dream state, we are disturbed. So if we quieten our mind, in the dream state also it can be quiet and happy. In the waking state is left, we cultivate our mind through jnana, knowledge of the I. Then in the waking state, when we are aware that I am that Atman, and this little I, which is identified with the body, mind and intellect, is a cause for all my trouble, then we can be ever watchful about that I. Tasmad ahamkaram imam swashatrum bhokturgale kantakavat pratitam vichitya vijnana mahasina sputam bhungshvatma samrajya sukham yatheshtam. Tasmat, therefore, three dots. Ahamkaram imam swashatrum. There is a shatru. There is an enemy within. What is that enemy? It is an enemy that is within me. It has got nothing to do with other people. This enemy is within me. Swashatrum, ahamkaram, bhoktuhu gale, kantagavat pratitam. How is this ahamkara experienced? This ahankara is experienced like a thorn in the throat of the enjoyer, the individual who is enjoying or suffering or experiencing. It is experienced as a thorn in the throat. Bhoktuhu gale pratitam vichitya. Cut out that thorn away. Cut out that ahankara away. Vichitya vijnana mahasina. There is a very great sword to cut out that ahankara. What is that sword? That sword is vijnana. Vijnana means I know, I am. That knowledge of the self. Mahasina sputam. Clearly cut it off. Bhungshva atma samrajya sukham yatheshtam. Even in this story of Sagara Manthanam, very beautiful. It just comes to my light. We all like astrology also. And we all know the story of how the Devas and Asuras churned the ocean of milk to get Amrita. And with that Amrita, they wanted to get immortality. Right? And then this Mohini avatar came because the Devas and Asuras were fighting with that pot of nectar finally. And the Devas pleaded with Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu appeared in the form of Mohini and he started dancing. Because this nectar of immortality is not for people who are living a life of enjoyment, sense pleasures, rajas and tamas, like the Asuras, the Danavas and the Daityas. It is meant only for people who are this ordinary Amrita, we can say. Amrita means joy. This ordinary joy also is meant only for people who are living a good life, basically. Not only the supreme joy, even ordinary joys of life. If you are going on engaging in the world and grabbing from the world and behaving badly, The result of that action is only sorrow, it is not joy. We cannot experience joy. So, coming to the very limited experience of joy also, these devas were going to get that Amrita. Finally, the Asuras snatched it away, and there was a fight between the two. And then the devas, they appealed to Mahavishnu. She danced around the place as a beautiful woman, and the Asuras were immersed in the dance because they liked those sense pleasures. They just were standing with a pot of nectar. As Mohini said, "Give it to me." She said very beautifully, "Give it to me. I will distribute it to all," she said. And so, very lovingly, they gave it out to her, thinking that she's going to do. But finally, from the Asuras, there was one person. That is, who is that? Simhika's, there was an Asura who came and sat there between the Devas. And then Surya and Chandra, nobody knew. Vishnu was distributing the nectar to the Devas first. This Asura found out that there is something cheating happening, and he comes and sits on the side of the Devas, disguised as a Deva. And when Vishnu was starting distributing, there was Surya and Chandra on either sides of this Asura. Simhika's son he is, that Asura's son. And the Surya and Chandra hint to Mohini that this is an Asura, don't give. By the time this Asura drank a little bit of that nectar already, it reached only up to the throat. Mohini immediately cut off the head of that Asura. And then they continue to live as Rahu and Ketu. And Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is the head and Ketu is the tail. Remember the three-hooded snake, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So Rahu is the three-hooded snake and Ketu is the tail of that snake. In Jyotisha, Ketu is Mokshakaraka, the one who grants us freedom. And so what happens when Vishnu cuts off the head? Because he had taken a little bit of that nectar, Rahu becomes immortal, the head becomes immortal. And the tail is always shifting, trying for moksha, trying for liberation. If you see the snake or a lizard, the tail also has life. But without the head, the tail can do nothing. So the liberation it is constantly seeking. And what I came to say was, this Rahu, this Rahu and Ketu is nothing but that it's a shadow planet, and constantly it is hiding the sun and the moon. Sun and the moon represents light in this Grahanam or solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. Sun and the moon represent forms of light. Light refers to Brahman. Rahu and Ketu are like that Ahamkara, which is hiding the reflection of Brahman. And when this Rahu and Ketu are completely cut asunder with the knowledge, with that sword of knowledge, Vishnu cut it with a sword. That sword is knowledge. Be aware of that Rahu and Ketu. They are already split. They are not together. They don't exist in reality. That means they are dead, but still they are appearing to exist and creating trouble. With that sword of knowledge, it's already cut asunder. We just have to be aware. When we are aware, then we are granted that moksha or nothing. Even we don't need to cut. It is already dissociated. The conscious mind, Rahu is the conscious mind and Ketu is the unconscious mind. The conscious mind and the unconscious mind are already separate. We don't have to do anything. We just have to be aware of it, and we have to turn the consciousness within and look at the self, and we understand that there is no difference between what I am in the present moment and the true self. Vichidya Vijnana Mahasina. How can we cut it? By Vijnana, by awareness on the right thoughts given by the Shastras, meditating, Shravanam, listening, Mananam, contemplating, Nididhyasanam, meditating. Bhungshvatma Samrajya Sukham Yatheshtam. After we do this, we cut asunder that ahamkara and leave the head and tail alone. We can take this Atma Samrajyam. We can drink on this bliss of the kingdom of self at all times. Tatohamadir vinivartya vrittim samtyakta ragaham paramartha labhat tushnim samasvatma sukhanubhutyam purnatmanam brahmani nirvikalpaham tataha ahamadehi vinivartya vrittim. So, remove your thoughts. Vinivartya means bring your thoughts, quieten your thoughts, including what vritti, what thoughts? Ahamadehi, I, etc. I and etc. Everything in this world is I and etc. That etc. is too long. So only I can be said. Withdraw all that, including the I thought. Samtyakta ragaha paramartha labhat. Once you withdraw, you experience paramartha, that supreme bliss, supreme happiness. Labha, you gain that. Because you've gained supreme happiness, you don't want happiness from any little thing in life. So, give up that attachment because it's very important. Even if we withdraw, if there's attachment to the world of objects, people, emotions, situations, and things, then every time we wake up from that meditation, we will go back into the world. The same problem will happen. The fight will not end. The fight between the devas and the asuras and the pot of nectar will be shifting. We have to cut asunder that contact with all the asuras of the world and then be with the self, true self, Mahavishnu, Buddhi. Only then we will be able to experience the bliss of the Atman. Tushnim samasvatma sukhanubhutya. Tushni means quietly. Samasvatma sukha anubhutya. Experience the self of the joy of the self. Purnatmana Brahmani nirvikalpaha. In this, you experience the joy of the Purna Atman. We experience the joy of the Purna Atman in our sleep, but we don't know we are experiencing the joy of Purna Atman. In the waking state, there is a possibility to know the experience of the Purna Atman, but only thing, we should not be engaging with the world of objects, emotions, and thoughts and the ahamkara. Samula krittopi mahanaham punaha yullekita syat yadi chetasakshanam sanjivya vikshepa shatam karoti nabhasvata pravrushi varido yatham. Even after that snake has been, even after that asura has been cut, they are still existing in the form of Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is the head, Ketu is the tail. So here this verse is very beautiful. 309. Bhagavan Adisankaracharya has not given this reference. I am just bringing in that annotation to make this understanding easy. Which means, even after the head and tail have been cut of that asura, the neck has been cut, the asura is still existing as a head and tail. The head is Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. In the conscious state, all these three gunas are expressing. That's a head. The tail is, I don't know. Ignorance is the tail. So, Samula Krittaha api, even if the person has been cut completely, Mahan Aham Punaha Yullekitaha Syati Yadi Chetasa Kshanam. In a small moment, this head and tail of that serpent of ahankara will start wiggling. The head will start acting, the tail will start acting. Sanjeevya vikshepa shatam karoti. When they are acting, Rahu is producing so many thoughts in our mind. All the illusions, all the delusions, all the thoughts Rahu is producing. Ketu is producing all the depressive thoughts in our mind. So vikshepa shatam karoti. They create a lot of vikshepa in our mind. They create a lot of disturbances in our mind. So even if that I thought has been cut asunder, once if you sit in meditation, which means very clearly you know, because of the power of the scriptures and the words of the Guru, you know very clearly that I am not this body and mind and intellect. I am that self. You may be meditating for a long time like this. You may be experiencing bliss. Then you get up. You can forget in a moment all the experience of meditation. And then the I thought starts acting up. Even after you have cut, the I thought will produce numerous disturbances after that. So, Nabhasvata Pravrishi Sanjeevya Vikshepa Shatam Karoti Nabhasvata Pravrishi Varido Yata. Just like sometime the sky will be very clear without clouds. But suddenly you see the sky is covered fully with clouds. In the same way, even if you think you have destroyed this ahamkara, again it will manifest with numerous thoughts of disturbing thoughts, distracting thoughts like the clouds in the sky. So we have to be very, very, very careful. So that is why it stops here 309. We will continue from around November 4 for 10 days. We will continue with the verses in the Vivekachoodamani from 310 onwards. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Bole Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai Hare Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva Hari Om. Tomorrow we have, for the next 3 days, we will have Vision of Vedanta, Drik Drishya Viveka. Hari Om.